Donald Trump, the game show host. Yes, Donald Trump, the game show host, is making a mockery. I mean, an even bigger mockery, let us say, of the United States. So right now he's threatening to enact what is essentially martial law. Okay, he didn't come out and say the words martial law, but he's essentially threatening to bring in the military, right? So let me show you a little bit of that. Right, he gave a little speech. He came out of his bunker. Okay, so backtrack a second. Donald Trump was hiding in the White House bunker. Okay, now whether he did that voluntarily, probably, I don't know. Maybe that's a security precaution. They probably ushered him in there, and they were like, "Yo, you know, sat there, Dick Cheney." Like they ushered him in there, and they turned off the lights in front of the White House, and now he's back out, and he gave a speech. Right, so. Take a look at this, y'all. Let me zoom in. Make sure you can read that. U.S. President Donald Trump, as Maduro would say it, has warned he may be forced to deploy the U.S. Army across the nation after protests triggered by George Floyd's death brought further unrest to Washington and other major cities. Mr. Trump said he took immediate presidential action by making available the resources of the U.S. military to stop destruction and crack down on domestic terror on U.S. streets. Okay, so I'll show you a little bit of his speech in a second, but you do realize that he still hasn't, no one has arrested those 3 cops, right? The other ones that were there when George Floyd was murdered. I mean, I showed you, we've seen the footage of Derek Chauvin, the guy who killed George Floyd. You see him kneeling on George Floyd's neck, but there were 3 other cops with him. And 2 of them were also on top of George Floyd. And they're walking around free. So Donald Trump, he's got time to bring in the military, but he ain't got time to deal with the other 3 cops that murdered George Floyd. Isn't that weird? That doesn't seem like very presidential action to me. That seems a bit weird. It's almost as if he doesn't want to deal with George Floyd's death and, the underlying issue, which is tyranny and white supremacy and oppression. No, let's treat it with more oppression, right? Bring in the military. So all those toys they've been testing on Arabs for a few decades now, right? The drones, the surveillance, the Predator drones. Yes, the ones that have been flying. They have been flying. They've been using them. We covered that. All their nice little toys, the Humvees, right? Now they're bringing them home. They've perfected them. They've learned how to use them very nicely. And now they're going to use them on you. Maybe. We don't know. See, that's part of it. It's to keep you waiting like, what's happening? It's terrorism. It's what it is. So let me show you a bit of his speech. It's a bit long. No one wants to listen to 7 minutes of Trump, but I do cover politics. So we have to look at a bit of it. He's just ranting away.
That for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain.
Did you hear that? He said he's going to serve justice to George Floyd's family. Where is it? I just told you the other 3 perpetrators, the accessories to his murder, haven't been arrested. He's full of shit. Just like every president, just like every public official.
But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities.
Okay, I that's enough. I can't listen to this shit. I cannot listen to this shit. You see, again, I covered this before. I mean, this is very obvious. Now they're saying that, oh man, there are peaceful protesters, but these looters, these rioters, we got to stop them, man. Because they're tainting the righteous complaints and cries for justice that are coming from the peaceful ones, right? So we got to deal with these bad guys first. I'm sorry. We got to deal with them. Meaning be quiet. That's what it means. It means shut up. We're not going to do anything actually, except oppress you. Yes, we'll do that, but we're not actually going to change the criminal justice system. We're not going to stop, killing blacks. We're not going to stop using our military to oppress you, to oppress others. No, that's not going to stop. So This is essentially directly taken from the speech, right? So he said he's deploying thousands and thousands of military personnel. I mean, look, man, he's using the Insurrection Act. So how old is this thing? I think NBC went into detail about the legality of it. It's from fucking 19th century. Okay, and the last time this was used, I mean, I can tell you the last time that was used was during the LA riots, right? So what is that, 92, right? So that's the last time it was used. And I mean, the thing that's different here is that usually governors ask him to use it, right? A governor might ask the president to invoke it, but this time Trump don't care, which is very interesting because you usually hear from the right. They usually talk about states' rights, don't they? They say, oh, you're infringing on states' rights, meaning we want to get away with slavery and oppression, right? That's what they say. Where are their cries about states' rights now? Now that Trump wants to supersede them, right? This is essentially what's going on. Trump wants to supersede the authority of these governors and say, look. He actually called them out. He said, according to Trump, no one has been competent enough to deal with these riots and looting. So now he has no choice. He has to bring in the military. Where are these people on the right whining about their state's beloved rights? I don't hear anything. It's weird. Crazy. Governors can ask the federal government to send active duty troops to help in cases of civil unrest, like the widespread protests plaguing cities over the last several days. But so far, no governor has requested active duty troops to assist. Instead, they have relied on local law enforcement and National Guard soldiers and airmen on state active duty. So, as I said before, no one's asked Trump for this. This is what's a bit particular in this case. And I mean, at the same time, if we're being honest, when you look at the level of militarization that is this process that has been going on for a few decades now, where you have these bloated budgets given to every and all police departments, buying armored personnel carriers, buying riot shields, they're buying tear gas, they're buying helmets, they're buying machine guns, they're buying semi-autos. I mean, they're buying things that you would only see a conventional armed force use, right? No, you can't tell the difference. You look at cops now from the US, and I'm not even talking about SWAT, I'm talking regular cops. They look like soldiers. This is a militarized police force across the nation. It's not just one county, it's not just one police department, it's all of it. Because it's a racket. It's a military industrial complex making money. They don't just get contracts from the government to make bombers used overseas or machine guns or protective gear used by soldiers overseas. No. Now they also get to make bank at home because all of the police departments also want some of that nice little shiny armor, right? So this is a racket, essentially. And on top of it, of course, now you have indistinguishable police forces that are indistinguishable from the army. This whole notion that you might have martial law now, it's also going to impact your beloved First Amendment, right? That's the thing now. So now all protests will become illegal because sorry, you're rioting. I mean, you've seen the videos. I've shown you a plethora of videos, people being run over by the police, just indiscriminately tear gassed, beaten. There's no difference. They don't care. Even the media and even the mainstream media. Yes. even the mainstream media. I think I saw a CBS crew earlier get shot with a rubber bullet. I mean, this is just, they don't care. They don't want you to film them. They don't want you to participate in the protests. They don't want you to open your mouth. Everybody, including the mainstream media. That's it. So, I was thinking about how blacks, specifically in the United States, I mean, they've technically already been living under this reality of what you would call martial law. I mean, just look at them, right? Just look at George Floyd being murdered the other day. He didn't even do anything. Nothing. He wasn't protesting or rioting. No, nothing. He's just going about his day. Got murdered. Eric Garner, same thing, right? So, I mean, the only difference is that now white people are going to be brutalized, right? That's essentially it. And white people are going to have their freedom to speak being taken away. So the reality that has blanketed blacks in America for centuries now is just going to be extended to the entire populace. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, yes, of course, you can say that the entire working class has always been oppressed by the 1%. Yes, of course. But now I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about the day-to-day realities that blacks are facing in America. They can't even walk down the street, right? Oh, now the curfew. Now you have things called curfews. Now you, the white person, you can't also walk down the street in peace. They're going to beat you. The cops will come and brutalize you. And they will arrest you and put you in the paddy wagon. And if you put up a fight, they'll kill you. So now the reality that blacks have been living under is going to be extended to everybody. Maybe. This is insane. This is really insane. They're essentially telling you that, killing black people, you can get away with it because you have a badge and a gun, just like you've always been able to get away with it. And if you open your fucking mouth, we'll kill you too. Yeah. That's the bottom line. It's sick. It's really sick. As I mentioned earlier, the last time they invoked this was in 1992. I think it was summer of 92. You had the LA riots. So that's the last time it was invoked. California Governor Pete Wilson, he requested it from George H.W. Bush, another war criminal, just like the rest of them. Multiple videos I've seen of independent media, Fiorella, for example, from Convo Couch, all the way till mainstream media crews, they're all saying, look, we got our press passes, look at us, we got our credentials. They don't give a shit. You see, this is what it's like. This is what it's like when the United States occupy other countries. They don't give a fuck about you. You're not a human. On Graham Elwood's show, Fiorella, she was talking to him, and she put it really, just encapsulated it perfectly. She said that the cops consider you a body. You're just a body to them, and they verbally refer to protesters as bodies. I got 6 bodies over here, as they say. Yes, it's disgusting. But I mean, this is not new to me. I mean, I've seen this in Iraq. I've seen this in Afghanistan. I've seen this in Syria. Do you understand? And now it's really interesting from my perspective. I'm not in the United States. It's really interesting from my perspective to see this now in the US. The empire turning on itself, so to speak. I mean, as I said before, this reality blacks were already living under it in many, many ways. It's just that now it's being extended to everybody, right? Don't you think that's a somewhat accurate analysis? Wouldn't you agree with me? I mean, I don't think it ever could be the same because, a white person is just never going to go through and never going to be able to understand what black people go through. That's just never going to happen. But a lot of the realities that blacks have been living under are now being extended to the entire populace, right? And it's really disgusting. It's really messed up. No, I don't root for anyone's demise. I root for justice. Do you understand? What I hope is that blacks get some kind of justice. I was watching Gone with the Wind. As you all know, it's an amazing movie. It's quite old. They did great color correction on it. And, at one point in the movie, they talk about 40 acres and a mule. Yes. I mean, even this old, how old is that promise? So a century and a half now, almost, Where have blacks gotten their 40 acres and a mule? Nothing, man. Where's the reparations for slavery? Nothing. To this day, you can walk down the street and get murdered because you're black. This is absurd. This is not a reality that is healthy. This is not an okay system. So President Jafar says, "Are we going to call Trump a brutal dictator like we call Assad?" Do you not see the parallels? Very good point. This is stuff that other countries have been invaded for, right? They say, "Oh, you're violating human rights, so we have to send in our military and occupy her for 20 years." Okay, well, now that the United States has been violating the rights of blacks for 400 years, has committed genocide against the natives. Now that the United States is effectively implementing martial law, Where is the invasion for you? Where's the democracy for you? There's none of that? Weird. It's really weird because you're still bombing my country because you said we needed some of that. Well, I think you need some of it too. I think you need a little democracy and freedom, no? You don't think blacks deserve some freedom? I'm talking real freedom. I'm not saying that sarcastically. Where is it? You don't think 400 years is long enough of a fucking wait? Like I said, man, the United States bombs and invades countries for much less than what they are doing to their own people and have been doing. Hypocrisy. All of it. All of it. It's just like this nonsense with Maduro, with the kingpin narco trafficker. Motherfucker, do you know who has the biggest empire, the biggest fucking drug empire? You who are you toying with, man? Like, this is ridiculous.